Make no mistake, the return of the Taliban is disaster for Afghan women and girls. Earlier this week, one of the Taliban's top spokesmen confirmed women would be subject to a strict interpretation of Sharia law, which previously saw girls banned from going to school, women stoned for adultery or so-called immodesty crimes, and rape victims put behind bars. According to reports from on the ground, women and girls have largely disappeared from the streets of Kabul. You can't blame them. To discuss this and more, I'm bringing in my international panel from Sydney, co-host of Outsiders, James Morrow, and from Adelaide, host of Bernardi, the man himself, Cory Bernardi. Apologies, gents, I'm all over the shop. It's a tight end of the week. It's been pretty savage to see what's been happening on the ground in Kabul. It's heartbreaking, actually, Cory. I mean, you and I go back a long time in Canberra. We've been along this Afghan road for a long time. I think it was entirely foreseeable, but just an appalling handling of the withdrawal and the way in which now this brutality will be revisited on these women.
Yeah, it's a tragedy, Peter. We lament it because a lot of our forces did so many good things over there in trying to liberate people from this oppression. And, you know, the bumbling of the Biden administration and others have left them captured by these barbarians again. This is sort of medieval barbarity that they're going to experience. We've already seen reports today of a woman who was shot because she had didn't have a burqa on. She only wore the hijab, and so that was immodesty. We know that the Taliban will put on a PR face, but as they gain more and more control, they will slip back into the sorts of tyrannical stuff that you mentioned before. And the fact that the Chinese are giving them diplomatic status, and even a US general, I think today, was forced to almost concede that they have to open diplomatic discussions with them to get Americans out, is a tragedy for the West, I've got to say, Peter.
President Biden gave an extraordinary performance in his interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos. Let's have a look.
When you saw the significant collapse of the Afghan troops we had trained, up to 300,000 of them, just leaving their equipment and taking off. That was, you know, that's what happened. That's simply what happened.
But we've all seen the pictures. We've seen those hundreds of people packed into a C-17. We've seen Afghans falling.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
What did you think when you first saw those pictures?
What I thought was we have to gain control of this.
He's embarrassing, James.
It's just shocking, Peter. There's no words to express how disgraceful that interview was. I mean, for him to say it was 4 days ago, 5 days ago, well, it was actually 2 days ago when he gave the interview. But putting that aside, that just goes to show not only, you know, that there are serious questions about Joe Biden's capability to do the job, but also about his extreme callousness. And we know from interviews with people like Richard Holbrooke from when Joe Biden was vice president under the Obama administration that he had a real thing about Afghanistan, and he did not care at all about abandoning the Afghan people as he has done. Of course, abandoned, you know, so many Americans and so many allies as well. I'm told that, you know, there's some push on in Washington to see if Kamala Harris could step up and take over. But the problem is that she's the deciding vote in the Senate as president of the Senate, which they've got 50-50. And she's also not very well liked among Democrats as well. So the Democrats are in a terrible position right now. They've got this leader who is callous and, frankly, I don't think with it. They've got no succession plan if anything happens. And so where does that leave America? Where does that leave the world? Not in a very good place.
And of course, Cory, the Chinese Navy, they've conducted a live fire exercise in the waters south of Taiwan. This is warships, anti-submarine aircraft. This is the next sort of battleground.
Yeah, you'd think it is. I mean, Sky News' own experts in this field, Catherine McGregor and others, have said that a hot war is likely in over Taiwan. And why wouldn't you if you're China? Because the Americans have been deemed impotent by this impotent president, and their weakness, we know that they've been compromised, the family's been compromised by deals with China, and Joe Biden just doesn't seem up to the task. So if America is not capable of standing up for freedom around the world, I think we're going to find that that more tyrannical, more dictatorships are going to arise, and they're going to assume a very strong position And that fills me with dread, as it should fill every freedom lover right around the country and the world.